The final layout for the Riley Blake Designs 2022 Block Challenge dropped this week, and I have to say, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, I was not expecting this level of extra work. It's a lot. I'm not going to piece these this week. I'm going to make an emergency trip to the fabric store. I need a background fabric. I think I might have this darker color in my stash. I think I have a couple options. I'm going to try to make that work first, but I definitely need this background color. And after I got over the shock of all of that, I saw this here, block of your choice. And I've got to ask, am I the only one who didn't know about this super secret block number 17? That sort of blindsided me. It's no big deal. I've already pieced it. In fact, that's what I did on Tuesday. I picked a block, not one of the ones that we've already done. I picked one from last year, and I will show you today. But today I'm going to evaluate my blocks individually, and then I'm going to evaluate them as a group. I want to make sure that everything is cohesive and, if not matching, at least coordinating and working well together. I'm also going to double check that everything is the right size, because I know for a fact that the first one is a problem. So I do like this block, but it's become apparent with each new block that I have made that I'm straying away from this sort of colorway. This fabric doesn't appear anywhere else, neither does this one, and I just think, I haven't put them together, but I'm pretty sure that this one is going to stand out. And on top of that, I recently discovered that it's actually ½ an inch too big on all the sides, so I must have messed up my seam allowance or something, and it is definitely going to need to change, because that's not something you can trim down, because I would lose all my points. So that's block number 1. Block number 2. So I think this is where I sort of established my go-to colors. It was this sort of purple, dark navies, and then a pop of pink. So I think this one is not going to be a problem. So here you have dark navy, purple, pink. As far as I can tell, that one looks good. This one could be a problem. I was measuring this one. I tried to trim it up first, and it is very wonky. It's sort of leaning. This is also the one that has a stain, and I was considering remaking it, but I don't know. I didn't really enjoy these tiny little flying geese. I'm not sure if I want to remake it. So if it looks fine and doesn't draw attention and fits, I'm gonna just leave it alone. I'm going to work with my wonky edges because I don't want to do that again. This is the first one where I really veered away from the pattern. It's probably completely unrecognizable to everyone else because I think I just flipped my flying geese. So, and now that I'm thinking about it, I can't even picture how it's supposed to look. I know this one looks weird though. This one is very bright and fresh and airy. I like that. I really like this gray here that is almost white. It sort of opens up the churn dash, in my opinion. I think this might be the first one where I went full-blown scrappy. I don't think I have any problems with this one. I also veered away from the pattern in this one too, because I added this little, I think you might call it a crumb panel. I did a little bit of paper piecing here, just use up some of my smaller pieces. It is a little busy, if I'm being honest, but I like it. I don't think I'm going to change that one. But it would have been a much calmer block if I had just left this as one solid color. Now, I really like this block, and the main reason is I like the dark background. I think I need to make a quilt with a dark background because it really makes the star motif really come forward. And I just like navy. Here's another one where I went very, very scrappy. I don't know about this one. It might be too scrappy. It might be too busy. We'll see how it goes with the other blocks. I like this one too. I like the gray background, this navy, it's almost black. It's very bold. It really defines the shape well, I think. And it really makes this pink really pop. I don't have any notes on this one. It was sort of I just whipped it up and I haven't thought about it since. Yeah, it just is what it is. Here's another one that's just completely unrecognizable. I really wanted to emphasize this cross shape. I thought it was really an interesting shape. I didn't like how bulky. I think in the original these outer corners were dark too, and I just didn't like the bulk of it. I love this block. It's just so happy and pink and purple, and I like how it turned out. I didn't pay too much attention to the layout. I think it was a little different. I just sort of did a log cabin-y sort of thing where I just added the next, and built my way out. But I think it came together pretty well. I think this might be my favorite block. And it would be really great for a baby quilt. This is another one that turned out really different than the pattern was written. I wanted to make a dark background so that my other dark background block didn't look so out of place. So it sort of had a buddy in the quilt and it didn't stick out like a sore thumb when I put all the blocks together. And then my last block, block 16, no, not my last block, the last of the blocks written this year. And this one, I had a little trouble deciding how I wanted to do it. In the end, it didn't really matter. I think it worked up fine, but there's not really anything that is special to me about this block. But I saw some really pretty ones on Instagram. You should go check that out. And this, I think I went completely overboard on this one. It's really busy. Let me get the pattern. This is my super secret 17th block. It's called Ocean Waves, and it was designed by Rachel Erickson. And I picked this one just because it was simple and I thought I could get it finished quickly. Because it's just half square triangles and then 2 squares in the corner. So, and it did come together quickly, but it's a little much. I might need to redo this. I'm interested to see how this is going to look with the rest of the blocks. So I'm going to throw all of these blocks up on the beast and we can look and see how they work together. Okay, I just realized I haven't mentioned the beast before. It needs a little explanation. It's what I call my design wall. It's basically a giant Lori Holt design board. I put a bunch of that foam stuff together and I covered it with batting and I put it on the wall, and there were issues all along the way as I was making it. But I persisted, and it is not pretty, but it is functional. It has a good personality, and I call it the beast. The first problem you'll see is that it's all wrinkly. The batting did not lay straight. I thought I could get it straight in the gluing process, and it would sort of, the wetness of the glue would sort of release the wrinkles, and that was not the case. It looks like this, but really the big problem is this. Look right here. It's actually, this from this half up is the problem. It is bowing away from the wall. And this could probably be fixed with some extra command strips. That's how I have the whole thing attached, but I only put the command strips around the edge. So if I took it down and I added more command strips along this whole section, I think that would solve the problem. I just haven't done it yet. And that whole corner up there is completely loose. So it's functional, it needs some help, and I haven't helped it yet. Okay, this isn't necessarily the final layout, but I think I have things sort of even. I'll leave it up for a couple days to get a feel for it, but this is what I'm thinking right now. That is a busy quilt. I can't believe we're going to be adding Irish chain to that. I forgot to mention this block right here. It does sort of stand out, but I've hidden it at the side, and that helps it sort of blend in more, sort of hidden in plain sight. So this is a busy quilt, so I'm going to try to have my Irish chain recede a little bit, so I'm going to use these two colors of gray as the contrasting color, and then I'll use a bright white or a slightly off-white, maybe a very, very, very light gray, even lighter than this, because I want the Irish chain to not take away from all this complicated piecing we did. I, for a brief moment, thought that maybe I would piece together all of my tiny little pieces and use that as my contrasting color, just making a ton of strips of that, but that is way more work than I want to do right now, and I think it would be really distracting. I don't want it to overwhelm the quilt, so that's what I'm going to have in mind when I go to the fabric store this weekend.